I think The Long Walk might actually be my favorite movie of the year. I'm saying it right off the bat. No surprises in this conversation. It's not stylish. It's not loud. It's not over the top, but it really got under my skin in a way that I didn't expect it to. It's got this brutal, simple idea, which is just a group of kids forced to walk until they die. And it turns into something that feels pretty real, but also gets to like the root of this like human element, which is what Stephen King is. That's his strength, is getting to that human element. So this is not just about survival, this movie. It's about what happens when a system convinces you that this type of suffering is normal. I absolutely was pretty blown away by this movie. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about it. This is Stephen King's first novel that he ever wrote. He wrote it in college in the 60s, but it's not his first novel that was published. That is Carrie.
For this to be his first work that's some Bob Dylan shit, like literally, like
just
through
crazy.
and through.
Yep. The Long Walk takes place in an alternate reality where the United States is run by a totalitarian, authoritarian, dictatorial regime. After a war, a nondescript war, and the country, potentially the world, but you don't really know, but at least the country is in just ruins. It is in an economic disaster. There is, I believe, a pandemic going on or something of the sort. The government runs this contest where 100, in the book, 100 boys are forced to walk until one survives. The movie makes it 50, one from each state is chosen. They don't just have to walk. If they stop for too long, they get a warning. If they slow below a certain pace, they get a warning. And if after 3 warnings, you get shot on sight.
The changes in the story were because of the budget, is what I read, because they were, I think it's only a $20 million budget. They kept it pretty low. They didn't have any crowds towards the end, and like they usually do or throughout, and they cut the number of walkers in half. That was part of the budget.
This was a complaint I had read. A lot of people saying that one of the big focuses of the book is, of course, how this type of violence is not only normalized by in the country, but celebrated. And they are followed by crowds, and the crowds specifically want to watch them get murdered. Like that's like the whole draw of it. So a big part of the book is about that, and you see a little bit of it, but I can understand why people would be a little bit perturbed by that change, but I didn't bump into that at all.
I thought this was a good movie. I don't know if I was impressed with it as you seem to have been. This is not an original story. It is something that's been done before. You're trying to bring out the humanity in an individual and some sort of oppressive state or situation. And in that sense, I think the story is very well told and it's very well acted, but it's nothing like original. Like if you've seen a movie like this before, you've seen them all. They're all a little bit different, but I thought it was really well done. Just didn't like blow my socks off, I guess.
So I read the synopsis of this movie and I was pretty much instantly hooked just because I'm a big fan of like the Hunger Games, Squid Games genre or whatever, right? So, and this kind of fits into this if you're just reading the synopsis.
I'd say so.
Yeah. What sets this apart for me is the themes within the movie. Like obviously brotherhood is like a big one.
Yep.
The system pitting us against each other, like the rat race, right? I thought this was an amazing movie. I'm right there with you. I think, Dan, I can see why this is your favorite of the year. I don't cry often, but this one actually had me shedding real tears throughout on the second half. Yeah. And I can't believe I always thought Stephen King was just a horror guy. I feel like that's how the media kind of portrays him. He just seems like a master of all, from like even just a couple of things that we've watched this year, which is like The Life of Chuck and then this one. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. This was amazing.
Like, yeah, I guess the premise, like you've seen it done before in certain things, you know, Marvin mentioned The Hunger Games. Francis Lawrence directed The Hunger Games, as you said, but I don't know if we've seen this before, really, because what I thought was brilliant about this movie is the simplicity of it, right? It's just walking, you know, they're walking to nowhere. And yes, there's some scenes of like, you know, there's like some executions here and there and some moments of like shock and gore and things like that because it's a horror movie, which I don't think this is a horror movie, but it's more of a thriller even. I don't know. I think it's like a drama thriller type of
It's
thing.
like a drama, yeah.
But yeah, they have some like moments of violence and some gross shit for like shock value. But like other than those little moments, there's like nothing that happens in the movie. So what ends up happening is this movie is entirely carried on the performances of these actors. And without that, this movie does not work at all. I thought the performances in this movie were some of the best I've seen this year, if not the best. The two main characters, Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson, unbelievable. Blew me completely out of the water. We recently saw David Johnson in Alien Romulus, where he played the android. And he was great in that movie, but I don't think that movie even scratched the surface of what that dude was capable of. He was just absolutely unbelievable in this movie.
Yeah, the emotion he shows in his face is like none other. It's crazy.
Yeah, you got to turn that off when you're playing a robot, sadly.
Yeah. You hear the term edge of your seat. It's very rare that you're actually on the edge of your seat. This movie had me like, I was just sitting there. I was locked in. You mentioned you cried. I was like tearing up throughout the whole movie. Like from the first execution, dead serious. Like that kid, the nobody kid who was just like you feel bad for him because he was timid and like they made fun of him at first. And it was like, I don't know. It has all these like weird elements of like getting together with people. You think of like, you start school for the first time and you're with all these strangers and like cliques form and like, you have people who want to be part of the clique and they get kind of shunned away for no reason. And
yeah.
But like every single person, not just the main cast, like really, really made you feel the emotion of what their characters were feeling and what this movie's supposed to like bring out. You could feel the physical toll and the sweat and how tired, like you feel everything. What it obviously breaks down to is into an emotional thing, and they're all dealing with their own like little emotional issues, and they're all walking for their own reasons. What was interesting is the one point where Garrity explains his like theory on the long walk. He says something along the lines of like, it's optional. Nobody has to do it, but we all kind of have to do it.
Technically, you don't have to work, right? But you have to work. Like you can't if you want to actually live and survive in this world that we're in, you have to.
But it's like the system, right? Like forcing them into this desperation, like doing desperate things and stuff like
that. It's either you sign up or you stay in poverty forever. And like obviously everyone's going to sign up at the chance to do it. But it's also similar to, like you said, with the Vietnam stuff, like all the young people that go sign up for war, like because they have no other option, no other job, no other education.
Largely about
sign up
hope
to go
for
to war.
A better tomorrow. Yeah.
There's a lot of like wide shots in this movie that show like these like sweeping landscapes and how beautiful the country is, despite these desperate times that this story is set in. It reminded me of like almost like, like sort of just like Great Depression era photos, like, a single woman standing outside of a church in like a wide open field, like just those types of like that type of imagery. It plays into the worldview of the other main character, Peter McVries, where he says later on in the movie that like he sees the beauty in everything because like growing up, like he had no choice. It's like either you see the beauty in things or you just might as well kill yourself, right?
I like how the character was aware, Ray was aware of how up the walk was, like basically instantly, and he kind of explained it to the rest of the crew. I was glad they weren't just like ignoring it or like no one's criticizing what's going on. Like it was very clear.
Yeah, that's the super interesting thing. Is like they all know like this is fucked up.
This is fucked up, but like, hey, what else are we gonna do? I mean, that's kind of how it is in real life too. Like, okay, the capitalism, this whole system we're in is fucked up, but what are we gonna do?
If you're willingly signing up for this, not only this physical and emotional torture and torment, but ultimately to be killed, right? It's either you win or die, right? If this is the better option than just living normally and not doing this, imagine how bad life actually is, right? I don't know, it makes you think about a lot of stuff like going on in the outside world outside of what's happening here, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's similar to like signing up for the army because you're enlisting before your brains even developed. So like a lot of them were like, oh yeah, this is going to be cool. We're going for a walk. And then as it goes on, they're like, oh, all going to die.
This is
like,
bad.
Because they were all cheery and like, friendly and easygoing. We're just going for a walk and then the first person dies and then it gets serious and it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Now I want to go home.
Not all that dissimilar from like the people who signed up for the military right after 9/11 versus the people who signed up for the military 20 years later when we're still in Iraq. Those are two different types of people that have been conditioned to think about it differently.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the horror of this movie actually lies. You just nailed it, Dusty. About halfway through the movie hits you. This isn't really about the choice that they had to take the walk. It's about the conditioning that led them to this, right? Most of these kids were raised to believe that this is like an honor, it's a chance at glory. And that's what the major is kind of saying the whole time. He's like, you're going to change America. We're going to be back. And like they're conditioned to believe this. The longer it goes, the more you see how like deeply that lie runs. Yeah. And then,
that whole productivity thing was interesting about like, oh, every time we do this, productivity goes up.
Right.
You know, it spikes afterwards.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of like The Purge, how they have the purge and then crime stays down the rest of the year. Like, is it better though? Because we're letting people kill people on one day versus having crime. Like we're sacrificing all these kids for higher productivity like, is that better? Like
they're doing it for other people's entertainment. Like people want to watch this. That's why a lot of people were annoyed that they changed that from the book, I guess, due to budgetary constraints. But like the book really focuses on that element of like, this is entertainment for people. Like, oh, we want to watch people die. Like we want to watch people and the kid says it towards the end, he's like, everybody's going to come out. There's going to be crowds because they want to watch the major do the last kill. Like that's part of the fun of it. It's like wrestling.
The Running Man,
it's like wrestling.
The video game movie that what's his name was in. Just putting people in competitions and letting people watch people die.
I don't know if I've really ever felt like this in a movie before. I know that sounds like hyperbolic to say, but like every kill really like emotionally me up, even though you don't really know the characters that much. Like you could just feel what they're going through. Imagine like knowing you're going to die. I think that really me up is like knowing you're gonna die. Like we all know we're gonna die, obviously, but imagine knowing this is the moment, right? Like that's crazy to me. And so it's just this really emotional thing that I found very effective in the movie. Like every time somebody got it, I was like, oh man, like that really fucked me up. But yeah, I mean, ultimately this is like a deeply human story. You're right. We have seen this before. You see it in all the war movies. Like this is pretty much what those movies are about. It's about brotherhood and about like survival and stuff like that. But I don't know, this movie, I feel like it strips away all that like fluff.
Yeah.
And
it's like reminds you of like a stage performance almost, because it is that simple.
Yeah, just raw, sort of just performance based. I felt it very much, and it for me made it one of like the most effective movies of the year. And again, and then there's that deeper layer about like the warning about the systems that allow this stuff to happen, and it's not really too far off from our reality. Yeah. I mean, not just politically, but like just as a society, I feel.
Yeah, obviously not this extreme, but like I said, like
yet
every state becomes corrupt because humans are inherently fallible and greedy, and all those things. And every state that has ever been built has crumbled and fallen. It could be the Roman Empire, the Nazi Empire, the American Empire. It gets corrupted and it comes down. And watching movies where they're at their peak and people are suffering through it is
right.
It's interesting storytelling for sure, but. Yeah, we've been there before and we'll be there again. That's the sad state of it.
Hot fire from Dusty right there. This is a film I think is going to linger for me. I'm going to be thinking about this one for a while. I'm definitely going to rewatch it. So we've seen a lot of really, really good movies this year. It's been a great year, and I thought Sinners was locked for me, but I don't know. I think this movie just stripped down. Like it's very simple. Like I loved it so much, and you guys know I love simplicity. I love simple. So this movie's a banger for me, big winner. We still have a couple more movies to watch from 2025, so we'll see if it gets dethroned. But for now, this is it. Final answer. The Long Walk is Dan's favorite movie of the year. I've heard nothing but hype about it. I've heard there are some people that are like, this movie's about nothing. But those people have low IQs and took longer to finish tests when they were growing up. But I think this movie's underrated, honestly. For the amount of praise that I heard about it, it's underrated. It's got a 6.9 on IMDb. Like, this is a 10 for me, baby. Easy 10.
I think this might be the easiest 10 I've ever heard. I've seen.
Okay. Dusty?
I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like Life of Chuck better as far as like Stephen King adaptations go. I thought it was not, I guess probably because not as a bleak of a story.
Yeah, Life of Chuck is definitely more on the hopeful side of it.
Yeah, still a good story, good adaptation. Very well, like I said, very well acted and very well written. So
very f***ed up movie, but excellent movie. Highly recommend it. Check it out if you haven't.
Yep.
If you have seen it, please leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about it. There you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on The Long Walk.